Good afternoon, everyone. Let me take off my glasses. Welcome to today's podcast. And my guest today is Dean Graves, and he likes to describe himself as a messenger. And that's good because we're all here with a specific gift, and it is about his connection with his spirit and his spiritual journey that he's come to share with us all. And hopefully some of us will connect with that, we can recognize that, and it will help us maybe to overcome some of the challenges we are facing in our own lives. So without much ado, and he's in Memphis and it's very, very hot. Here in London, as you know, I'm in London, it's a bit overcast, but where it's raining, but the land needs it. So without much ado, welcome to my guest, Dean Graves. You've got a lovely smile. Dean, let's hear, you're in Memphis, and then as I said earlier, I have to say good morning because in London it's 3 o'clock or 9 minutes past 3 in the afternoon, and in Memphis it's 9 minutes past 9 in the morning. So he's saying good afternoon to me and I'm saying good morning to him. So
we just say good day. That'll cover it all.
So, Dean, let's hear how you came about and started your spiritual journey. When did it start? What happened? What made your eyes open? What made your connection?
My spiritual journey began around my 50th year. And prior to that, I led a very, what I would describe as a conventional life. I was in business. I was a commercial real estate developer, and that was my daily activity, that I would get up with a list of things to do to accomplish that day. And it began, my spiritual awakening began as it does with almost everyone. You have an awakening, and an awakening is a very misunderstood concept. Awakening is nothing more than a point in your life that can occur when you're in your teens, or it can occur when you're in your elder years, that all the stuff that you've been doing throughout your daily activities for your life up to that point may be considered conventionally successful, but it's not bringing you greater happiness.
Mm-hmm.
That is an awakening. And that is your awareness that has been switched on. And it is incumbent upon us at that time to begin to search. And the purpose of the search, the objective is to search, is to find what it is about you that you need to change in order to allow yourself to experience greater happiness, which almost invariably will require a significant transformation of ideologies, beliefs, and behavior that you have demonstrated throughout your life up to that point. And that is part of the human design. My path began seriously when I began to meditate. And through my meditation, I began to establish relationships and communications with my authentic self, but beyond my authentic self, began to communicate with my higher self, and established an ongoing daily communication with my higher self, which provided me with significant resources for truthful information as to the nature of our existence, the nature of our experience. As my learning increased, as my education increased, my capacity to be of service to others significantly increased, and allowed me to have the information necessary for myself and also for other people to escalate their intelligence and their advancement along the enlightenment path.
Okay.
And so that continues today. My current domestic partner is a vocal channel. I'm not a vocal channel. I do communicate daily with my higher self. My domestic partner is a vocal channel that communicates quite openly and easily with the Arcturians, which is a sister group that is on the farther along in the evolutionary path than what we experience. And so my mission is to provide information to those who are willing and able to receive it and incorporate what they will in their perceptions of self and advance themselves along the evolutionary journey.
Okay. Now, you said this happened, what, in the last 10, 15 years?
Well, thank you, but it's been about 25 years.
Okay. So this has been happening to, and as you said, you were in the corporate world, you were doing all these things that probably people thought you were quite successful and happy, but then you realized you weren't happy until now at that time, did you begin to meditate because you weren't happy, or were you always meditating?
No, I began to meditate soon after my 50th year. And I've taught meditation now for about 20 years. And meditation is a tool that we have that allows us to employ the awareness, which is an inherent characteristic that we possess, while we are pursuing our conventional life. Then our awareness is directional and it is pointed outside of us. And the reason that it's pointed outside of us is I need to observe your reactions to me, to my perception of self, in order to modify my perception of self to make it more productive in getting me more of what I want, more of what I like. Now, my perception, and I'm saying my perception, but this is true because it's the design of all humanity. Mm-hmm. We perceive that we need to get from the world around us things that will make us happy. Mm-hmm. We perceive that we can get happiness from outside of us. Yeah. And that is erroneous. That by design is teaching us that that is not the correct path that is actually going to provide us with greater happiness. Yeah. When we have this awakening and we learn to invert that awareness, same awareness, it's just directional, it's inverted inside, and we become aware of the things that we have created that create our identity, our false perception of self, that we become aware of those beliefs that we have incorporated into this identity. And the identity is nothing more than a bundle of beliefs. That's all it is. And we begin to become aware that those things that we thought so essential and so important are inconsequential and actually sources for perpetuating our stress and suffering. And so the more that we can focus this awareness inwardly and relieve the emotional baggage, which is nothing more than the lessons that we have been brought to us in the past that we did not learn the lesson. Okay. Heal that emotional baggage and then become aware of the beliefs that we have incorporated that perpetuate our attraction of the experiences that we don't like. And we begin to throw out those beliefs, and what fills that void is happiness.
Yeah.
because it allows our authentic self to emerge through um, the um, the chaos of our perceived perception of self, and we experience that in the form of happiness, which is the measure of how we're doing on our evolutionary journey.
Okay. So, as you say, we carry baggage, and a lot of us don't realize that we're carrying baggage. We just go through life thinking, this is how it is, this is how it is. I'm upset, I don't feel this way. And we live our lives through this baggage that we're carrying. And it's not until probably something pushes us so much that we are forced to say, I don't want this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's,
yeah.
And it's only when we're forced with the unhappiness of that baggage that we then need to go within. Now, that baggage that we're carrying, it's, as I perceive it, it's sometimes things we've done through our life, but also we've carried in with us. And as you said, things that we haven't learned and we're still carrying it and we need to learn. Correct?
You mean when we're born?
Yeah.
When we first begin this lifetime?
Yeah.
We don't carry specific experiences or a specific emotional baggage with us when we are born, but every lifetime begins. We simultaneously exist in both the metaphysical world and the physical world. Our metaphysical world existence is a consciousness pattern, and it is our enduring self. It is eternal, but it is on the evolutionary path. And the condition that we are in, our metaphysical self, the condition that we are in begins the platform for every new incarnation. Incarnation is just a temporary existence.
Yeah.
And so whatever that condition is, which is in this range of consciousness, is going to be in some degree of distortion. And so to say that we bring in with us baggage from previous lifetimes is not, it is a limited understanding of the fact that we are actually in that condition of being as a metaphysical self. That is the degree that we have evolved in our metaphysical condition.
Yeah.
So yes, we begin not with specific events that we need to rectify, but with distortions of perception of self and our metaphysical being. So that becomes the basis of our magnetic attraction of new types of experiences in an individual lifetime. That will afford us the opportunity to become aware of those deficiencies and hopefully resolve them.
Right. So to just to redefine that, so and our viewers can understand it. So when we talk about karma or dharma or what, it's a situation where we have evolved to a certain level and we're coming in at that evolved level, and with that evolvement and that perception that we're now in this life, it is now for us to use this life to change and evolve to a higher level, but it's facing the things within this life that we're seeing that will help us to change and evolve and connect to a greater self in order to show us the way forward in understanding and in changing our perception.
Yes, we choose the lifetime that we have, that we incarnate into, and
to
the
help,
primary
to help us with those lessons.
Yes, the primary objective of choosing a lifetime is that it will afford us with usually multiple opportunities to have the difficulties that we need in order to become aware, to transform the deficiencies in our metaphysical self.
Yes, yeah. They're helping us to relook, as you say, to transform. Everything is there to trigger us to transform to a higher level.
Yes.
And so sometimes
yes.
when we see ourselves, or when we're going through lives and we say, woe is me, why me, this person, they're not going through that, look at that person, this one's rich, I'm poor, why is it like that? It is because we've come in, we've chosen this in order for us to transform and to evolve to that higher level. And
Yes,
each one of
absolutely.
each one of us are coming in with a different level, simply because we're at different stages. So
right.
And this is what I need to say, and I'd like people to understand, is that we constantly are looking at other people and saying, woe is me, why is that? But each one of us has a different level, a different lesson, and a different evolving different path to reach where we need to reach. So
right.
it is not about looking at this one or that one. And this is what we need to understand, because this causes pain as well, because we're looking at other people and we're judging ourselves through other people, and we shouldn't.
Well, that's how we learn. We perceive that we can learn. The reason we have experiences is to learn. That's the sole purpose of having experiences, is to learn. We perceive that we can learn about other people, places, and things. The reality is we can only learn about ourselves in relation to people, places, and things.
Yeah.
And so the people, places, and things are a common perception that we have, because those are our teachers, not about them, but about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we learn to have appreciation for the experiences that other people afford us, that it's actually a guide and an education for ourselves, then it takes the edge off of the experience of stress. Stress is nothing more than the experience of anything that we don't like. Mm-hmm. And stress is a spectrum. So you may not like coffee in the morning. You may like tea instead of coffee. But if you're out of tea and you have to drink coffee that morning, that's a very minor irritation, but still it's something you don't like. The opposite extreme of that spectrum is what we deem to be a trauma. And a trauma is nothing more than an experience that so challenges the authenticity of our perception of self that we are unable to reconcile that at the time that we have the experience. And so it creates a gap in our stream of experience. Any other experience in the middle of that is just something, some degree of something that we don't like. There is no variety in the experience, because every experience is absolutely neutral of emotion. It is our interpretation of that experience that assigns the emotional value. So the more intensely it is deemed to be stressful by us, the more significant that experience is meant for us to provide us with that opportunity for awakening.
Yeah, and that in answers why some people can do certain things and it's fine for them, and you will do the same thing and it's not fine for you. And that's because your perception and your experience that you need is within that, and it's not for them.
Right. And understand that we misperceive time. Time is nothing more than our limited capacity to process more than one thought at a time. That is by design. That at this range of consciousness, we can only process one thought at a time. And that makes time seem to be sequential and linear. And so we are obligated with every single experience, and a single experience is actually a single thought. Even though we perceive an experience to last some period of time, that is comprised of dozens of thoughts. With every single thought, we are obligated to make a decision about that thought, and that decision very simply is either this thought feels good and I like it, or it doesn't feel good and I don't like it. Anything that doesn't feel good and goes into that don't like condition is stress, and that is only stressful because it challenges the authenticity of this identity that we have created during this lifetime.
Okay.
So it is a message to us of what we need to become aware of to heal within ourselves.
Yes, because there's, as you say, every situation is not good or bad. It's how we perceive it and how it triggers us. Whatever that situation triggers within us, that is what we need to look at and heal, because
yes,
there should not be anything that should trigger us. It's just as it is, and it's fine. And if it's not fine, then we need something within ourselves.
There's no good or bad experience. Every experience is absolutely neutral. It is our interpretation of that experience and how significantly it challenges our perception of self that we interpret that as good or bad.
Yeah. Oh, it's something for people to really think about, because when we look at our lives today, and there is so much going in around the world, so much anger, so much frustration, so much of everything, and yet we're all coming from the source where if we understood that we are part of that creation, or the way we interact with that causes us that stress, that if we can look at it in a different way, we can relate to it in a different way and see it and understand it in the way it should be seen, then a lot of things that are happening within us and that consequently goes out will not happen. So Dean, what would, after going through this and after understanding all this, and as you say, you are a messenger, how do you work with people to help them to see these realities?
Well, information is everybody is at a different place. What is necessary in order to advance yourself along the enlightenment path, which we are all enlightened to the degree we have allowed ourselves to become enlightened.
That's right.
So you may not think that you're enlightened or on the enlightenment path, but you are, to the degree that you have allowed yourself.
Yeah.
Advancement along creation was made possible by the creation of a distortion. And that distortion is free will. That was the first distortion that allowed creation to be created and developed. We perceive free will to be the choice of being able to choose to go right or left or high or low or whatever. Those are all the products of free will. Free will is the perception of separation. And it is only because we perceive ourselves as separate from each other, but also we perceive ourselves to be separate from the Creator. And it is only because we have that limited perception, which is by design, that we have the choices that we do. So the process of evolution, the process of enlightenment, is the process of becoming increasingly aware of ourselves, surrendering these false perceptions of self, which is actually surrendering our degree of free will intoxication, so that we evolve to be more aware, more cognizant of our oneness and our unity. free will functions as an intoxicant, just like whiskey. When you drink too much whiskey, then your awareness is decreased. You do stupid things that you wouldn't do if you hadn't been intoxicated with the whiskey. The more intoxicated that you are with free will, the more you perceive yourself to be separate and an autonomous being. And so the more stupidly you perform. But then in that stupidity and that stupid behavior is an infinite variety of experience interpretation, as we've been talking about. So the more we evolve, the more we surrender the authenticity of our independence, and the more in unity that we become. And that is the entire process of evolution. We are simply very elementary in our journey. And so we are intensely intoxicated with free will, and we perceive ourselves as autonomous beings. And so all of those distortions of perception are very intense. That's why we do the things that we do and experience the degree of stress and suffering that we do, is because we're defending and protecting the authenticity of our separation. So the more that we become aware, the more we realize that that is an erroneous perception, the more that we can surrender the authenticity of our separation, then the less stress that we experience, the greater happiness that we enjoy, because happiness automatically fills that void left because of our false perceptions of self. And the more we progress along the enlightenment path.
So, in short, if it can be in short, is the sooner we can realize that we are part of something much bigger. We are not an individual. And the sooner we can connect to that which is greater than us, which we are a part of, and to surrender to that, and that is as it is, the sooner that we will realize our own happiness. It is by continually fighting, thinking that I am this individual, I am this, I deserve this, I deserve that, that causes the friction, correct?
Yes, well, it enhances, certainly. The name of your podcast is Spiritual Infinity. What does infinity mean? What is infinity?
It's never ending, all encompassing, all one.
Which is the common perception of infinity, but actually infinity means that it is everything.
That's right. It's everything.
It is nothing. The numerical value of infinity is 1.
Yeah, it is nothing yet.
Okay,
it is everything. It is nothing yet.
There's nothing that is outside of infinity.
Yeah.
Which means that we are the one infinite creator experiencing ourselves at this range of consciousness, and it is only our erroneous perception of self that perpetuates our stress and suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. And until we realize that we are the one, what are we fighting against? And why do we fight against? But yet we have to recognize that. And that is the lie that we've fed into, and that we now are striving to come out of, recognize, and be.
Right. That is the inevitable path of awakening.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Dean, how do you, well, as you said, everybody's when I say individuals that to guide people, to help people along that path. Each one of us are at different stages. How do you, and I suppose you work with your partner, what do you do, or what do you have, or what have you created that people can come and come to the two of you for help?
Okay, well, I'm a mental health counselor, And I have a, website that people from wherever they are in the world can contact me. And I have specific exercises that I do to help people to quickly, efficiently, and permanently heal from traumas. Traumas are one of the more significant obstacles that we need to deal with first in someone's healing.
Yeah.
So they can contact me at my website, which is ddeangraves.org. All one word, ddeangraves.org. And, we can do a quick little session. It takes, on average, it takes 10 to 15 minutes to get rid of a trauma. It doesn't matter how long you've had it. It can, 50, 60-year-old traumas go away that quickly.
Yeah.
And once you do that, then that awareness immediately escalates and you can work more diligently on the emotional baggage. I've written 4 books. The most recent book is, I guess, my compendium book is called The Enigma of Consciousness, a spiritual exploration of humanity's relationship to creation. It's available at your bookstore. Can order it. It's I'll give you a little hint. It's cheaper on Amazon because Amazon sells books cheaper, and you can get that anywhere in the world. And that goes into much more detail into the nature of our experience, the structure of creation, how creation actually began. We function under an archetypical mind, which is nothing more than a blueprint for how we process thoughts in this range of consciousness. And it is a pattern that requires us to create this hierophant, this false identity, and also to how we alleviate that. The process is specific to how we overcome that. And as we evolve, then we will simply outgrow that archetypical mind restriction. But it's also how we awaken.
Okay. Can I stop you there? Because I'd like you just touched on something which I think is that if you can just give us a little insight into how we connect, and that situation that has not, it hasn't helped us, but how it has tricked us to function in such a way that it's distorted things within us to make us perceive things in a negative way within creation. As you said, we're working through, and how we go through the connection with creation. Can you just speak a little bit on that, please?
Sure. Well, the design is, and we exist in the third range of consciousness from the bottom. Okay, the bottom, and these are, if you think of these ranges of consciousness perceiving themselves as further away from unity with the creator. So as we evolve, we're evolving to greater awareness of our creatorness. The first range of consciousness is inorganic matter, for the simplicity of explanation. But it is still consciousness. It is just a very low range of consciousness. It perceives itself very far from the creator. The next range of consciousness are plants and animals, or organic matter, which is a defined range of consciousness. And there was great diversity within that range, each animal or plant manifestation is a different range of consciousness within that general range of consciousness. We are the first range of consciousness that actually is tasked with becoming an inherent characteristic of the creator, which is awareness. We begin this range of consciousness. We begin this range of consciousness in what is described as primordial darkness, which is nothing more than we're a clean canvas that we can paint anything on that canvas that we want. So there's no experiment or bias to that initial incarnation. And then we begin to incarnate, and we have experiences, and based upon what we've learned with these multitude of incarnations, we're painting the canvas of our consciousness pattern. And we are tasked with becoming aware and eventually becoming awareness, which is the evidence that we are ready to graduate to the next range of consciousness. But within this range of consciousness, beginning in total chaos of primordial darkness, and we're going to experience a lot of what we don't like in order to learn what we do like. We are tasked with a curriculum. This is the first range of consciousness where we have enough awareness to actually follow a curriculum, just like in school. And we are tasked with making a choice, and that choice is based upon our interpretation of experiences, of whether we are going to polarize service to self or service to others. Those choosing service to self path are considered choosing the indirect path back to the Creator, because they will evolve along that path for a long time until they reach a brick wall. They hit a brick wall, because you can't be in unity with the Creator and separate from the Creator.
That's right.
And so they essentially have to go back and start all over again. Those choosing the service to others path are choosing the direct path to the Creator and learning the inherent characteristics. And the inherent characteristics follow a specific hierarchy, only because it's necessary to build the floor before you build the walls before you build the ceiling and roof and so forth. So we are tasked at this range of consciousness with becoming awareness. The next range of consciousness, we are tasked with becoming love. The next range of consciousness is becoming wisdom, and then we become unity, and then finally we become stillness. And those are the 5 inherent characteristics that all of creation is built upon: awareness, love, wisdom, unity, and stillness.
All right. So it's, as you say, love, wisdom, unity, and stillness. Yes.
Wisdom, unity, and stillness. Yeah. Awareness, love, wisdom, unity, and stillness, in that order.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the creators of our range of consciousness are actually the unity and the stillness, primarily the unity. The unity range of consciousness has the honor and the duty of creation below them, as well as the honor and duty of guidance of our experiences to aid in our evolution.
Yes, because when we do become aware that, as a lot of people on the higher path have said, we are love. We were created in love, and therefore, when we can understand that unity with all things in love, and therefore then we perceive things in a different way, and that rises to our wisdom. And in our wisdom, it goes through into our, once you've got that unity, then it comes, and that wisdom, it goes into that unity, because you realize even more, and into the path of just being. At the end, just be. And that's what it is. We just are.
Well, that's our evolutionary path. That's what we have ahead of us in order to become. In each of these inherent characteristics, we perceive, for the most part, in this range of consciousness, that love is an emotion, which makes it a commodity that we can give or receive or withhold. Love is not a commodity. It is not something that we can give, and is not something that we receive. It is something that we are. And so in order to experience love, what we are actually doing every time that a person has experienced love in their lifetime, it is not because they have received anything or given anything. It is because that moment, that person, place, or thing where they are enjoying that experience has allowed them to feel comfortable enough with themselves to temporarily surrender this false identity that they've created, and they are feeling their authentic self that has emerged. And so that is a peek behind the curtain, because we don't get to maintain that at this range of consciousness. But it is something that we strive for because we've had that peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, because unless you've known what love is, you cannot desire it. And that is something that we desire because we have known it before.
But the measure, when we feel that, then that's the happiness. And
Yeah.
that's why happiness is the measure of how we're doing in our progression.
Yeah. Yeah.
The happier you are, the more frequently you can maintain that condition of happiness, the better you're doing in your evolutionary journey.
And the more balanced as well with everything throughout your whole being.
Well, the balance is, yeah, relative balance is brings us the happiness is part of the happiness, because we maintain that perspective and can maintain that well, as you that harmony that allows us to have that happy feeling.
And that is our desire, to continue to have the happy feeling. That's where it's not easy. We keep on going in and out, and that is where we are striving to have that in a continuum. Oh, quite exhausting.
I'm sorry.
Following it through and understanding the intricacies and the things that we're striving for, and yet those things which are there behind us that we're continually having to strive for, it's not easy. And yet when we can understand it and flow with it and not flow against it, things become easier. And it's to understand that it is to perceive, understand, and then perceive things in a different way and put them into action. So
when you're learning to play a game and you don't know the rules of the game, then the game is absolutely confounding. It's not, it's stressful, it's not enjoyable. But the more you learn about the game and learn about the intricacies of the game, then the more comfortable that you feel with the rules. And so the more you can enjoy the game. Our journey is the game.
Yeah. And it's to understand, and the thing is, it's to understand the rules. Understand the rules. And that is what it's all about. And you've hit the nail on the head. It's like going into any game, tennis, golf, whatever. If you don't understand the rules, when you go to play the game, it is going to be stressful. It is going to be awkward. It's going to be uncomfortable. But when you see the rules of the game, you sit down and you look at them and you perceive them and really take them on board, and then get up and take your strive handling those rules. The game then starts to take on a different feeling altogether, and
then it can be enjoyable, and you're just playing the game.
Yeah.
Instead of stressing over how to play the game.
Yeah. Understand the rules and you can do it.
Yeah.
Dean, how does one contact you? You said you've got these your different websites and so, and do you and you do work with people on an individual basis, or do you do groups?
Yes. Well, I conduct groups as well. To share information with groups. On an individual basis, to really help someone heal the traumas, you have to do it on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah.
But either is available. I try to make myself available. However, people would like to have me participate. So I'm a keynote speaker. I make presentations before large groups, small groups. If I can do this remotely as well as in person. Yeah. So I try to make myself available however I can be most helpful to people in furthering their journey along the evolutionary path.
And as you say, you're doing a lot of work with people with trauma.
Yes.
Let me just ask you this question before we close. Is you've been doing this work for 20, 25 years. Have you seen an increase in one particular area with people's, how can I put it, are coming to you for help? Is there a particular thing you've seen an increase in that people are going through?
Yeah, and a significant increase and it's a steady escalation in people's degree of chaos, their degree of lack of understanding, the feelings of angst and anxiety about themselves, their involvement in the world, their dissatisfaction with their traditional paths of what they deem to be important and what is significant. And that's intentional. That is being spurred from outside of the planet,
Yes,
because we are at a crux point of
yes,
the necessity of making that decision of whether I'm going to follow the service to self or service to others path.
yeah,
We're experiencing a significant bifurcation in the planet-wide, population-wide,
yeah,
along those lines, and that is the angst that we are feeling. Those people that are still in chaos, that haven't made that decision, or the people that have chosen the service to self path, which are significant numerically in our population, are feeling anxiety because they're losing control.
yeah,
And they're the reason, only way that they can maintain control is domination and subjugation of others.
yes,
And so they're losing that posture and they fear losing that posture.
yes. I'm glad I asked you that question because um, I myself, and as you said, it's coming from outside, and it's particularly at this time of man's evolution that these things have been triggered to awaken us. And as you said, the
Mm-hmm.
awakening, and this is it's time for us to be awakened, and we're getting that push. And I'm glad I asked you that because you can look around the world at people's not their anger, but they you can see and you can feel that people are beginning to question, people are beginning to look deeper, people are beginning to start to say there's something more and I have to do more, and that
Mm-hmm.
is pleasing. But as you say, it is a push that we're getting from outside, from our higher
Right.
selves, to say it is time, and that is nice to know. And I think many of us are answering that call. We are beginning to answer that call. Some people feel it's not, but I feel we are beginning to answer that call. And this work that you're doing, and many of us are doing, is so needed at this time because, as I said, people need to hear, people need to be aware, they need to know where to go, what to do, how to get that help. So, for all of those who have listened today, I'm very pleased to have had Dean on my program because it has been more intense about how we perceive things, how it's working, about the rules and going deeper, and how we perceive ourselves and the misconceptions, and there's a lot more. So I do urge you, all of you who are looking, if you need to know more, Dean has given his website address. I will put it on my write-up. Please contact him because this is something that we're all going through and we all need help with, to understand the rules so that we can play this game. And it's not a game, but we can take those strides for our own evolution. And when we do it and it has a ripple effect, it affects the whole. So, Dean, before I say goodbye, is there one gold nugget that you would like to leave us with for the viewers?
Well, the thought that I would like to share is a thought that Mahatma Gandhi left: to be the change that you want to see in the world.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. That is lovely. That's one of the things. Yes, we have to be the change. If we want to see a change in the world, it starts with us.
It does.
Dean,
Yes, absolutely.
Dean Graves, thank you so much indeed. And thank you everybody for listening. And then, as I said, this is a path that we're all, for all of you who have been shaken to awaken, please don't hesitate. Contact Dean. I'll put it on my write-up, because you do need to understand, all of us need to understand the rules of the game so that we can take that evolution in a happier way, not being forced and not being in pain. So for everybody this side of the Atlantic, bye for now. Dean, thank you very much for being my guest today. Take care and have a lovely rest of the day. You're in the morning, I'm in the late afternoon. So to everybody.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's been delightful. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.